Greetings, everybody. Captain Whitaker here. And I want to take a couple minutes to say some things. Not scripted, as you can tell, in my little shop slash studio. And past couple days, past week or so, things have been happening. And a lot of people out there have their voices and they can type. And when I want to apologize, you can see the green screen. I'm still learning how to use OBS, and I'm a child of the 80s. But I want to warn you, this is going to be real. This is going to be raw, unscripted, my thoughts and feelings. And I know I will lose followers on my page probably after I'm done saying this, and that's fine. The days of being quiet and being afraid to say something because you're a minor public persona. This is an ASI. This is Michael Cedric Ford talking what's in here. And a warning, I will probably get a little emotional, so sit down, put your seatbelts on, and here we go. The past couple days after I put a post out that I would not support that individual that is the President of the United States right now, people started unfriending me, and that's fine. That's what I want them to do. It has now gone to a point that families are unfriending and blocking because of our views and our thoughts. And I want people to understand where I stand and how I feel and what I believe. Because I was those on the other side of the picket line and had a very narrow view and didn't understand what was going on, what has been going on because of the programming that I had growing up. Now, to start off, I want it made perfectly clear my stance on law enforcement. I spent an hour yesterday talking to a Galveston police officer who I've had as my friend for over a decade, because he sent me a message and his first words out of his mouth is, "Don't hate me. I'm doing my job. I'm trying to do it right." All right. And saying that there's just a few bad cops and not all the cops are bad, you lose that argument when you stand there and let this happen. I played in that world from a firefighter standpoint, but I was in that world for years and decades. I'm about as screaming white guy as you can possibly get. And when the point sank home to me is when I realized, being a suburban white guy in the United States, when I get pulled over, my hands start to sweat and I'm scared and I start shaking. And that is not even in the same ballpark as what Black Americans go through every time they see a badge. And I only feel a little part of it there's a major issue. When you look across at a police uniform and you don't see in your very soul somebody you can trust, somebody that you can go to when you're scared, but what you see is fear, and you're terrified of that badge because of who they are and what that badge represents, there's a problem. A major problem. And for those of you who haven't hung out or been around or been friends with people in the law enforcement community, it's a very tight-knit community. And almost every single one of them has the thought philosophy of them and us. If you're not a cop, if you're not the family of a cop, you're a turd. And for decades, they have promoted the us and them mentality. And you know what you get when you have the us and them mentality? You get what we have going down on the streets right now in every American city in this country. Now, I will give credit where credit is due. And for the love of God, I am saying this about the New Orleans Police Department. Never did I think I would say this. But when almost 1,000 protesters who are rightfully, peaceably supporting and flexing their First Amendment rights to protest and address grievances are met on I-10 by armor-wearing riot troops, and they're getting ready for a fight, and those SWAT officers walk up, and those riot officers walk up and say, "We hear you, we agree with you, and we are here to walk with you and make sure what you have to say is heard and is done safely." That's the New Orleans Police Department. You are seeing it in small little bits around the country of officers kneeling down on one knee and saying, "We hear you. What happened is wrong and was murder and has been happening over and over and over again." We need to listen to each other. We need to hear each other. And that's all of us. We don't need to abscond the argument and the power that's going on right now for any other platform. There's only one platform right now. And that is equality and the American dream and the American life for everybody. They are Americans. And they are being murdered on our streets by fellow Americans. I heard it a little while ago and it really hit home. For decades, African Americans have been knocking on the front door. "Let us in. Please." And they've started knocking louder. "We're dying out here. Let us in. Let us in." And nobody let them in. And they started knocking harder because they're dying. And now people are surprised that we finally hit a turning point where they're done dying. What do you expect them to do? What would we do? What should we do? Those are our brothers and sisters that are out there dying. It's not somebody else's problem anymore. This isn't the streets of Iraq. This isn't Afghanistan. This is Minneapolis. This is New Orleans. This is New York. This is Los Angeles. This is here. I am so angry right now. Then to have that individual that is in the highest office of this country threaten to use my brothers and sisters in the armed forces to quell their voice. And don't sit there and do what people have been doing to my wife, who has gone and done the research and pointed out that this is what that fascist son of a bitch is pulling. And try and tell us, oh, we don't know what we're talking about. We're overreacting. No, we're not. The Secretary of Defense got on front of the cameras this morning at the Pentagon and says he does not support the use of the Surrection Act because he knows what they're doing. When police officers launch tear gas and flashbang grenades against peaceful protesters who are just flexing their First Amendment rights, their constitutional rights, there is a problem. There is a major problem. And you people sitting at home burying your head in the sand because you are too comfortable in your 2 picket fences, 2 cars, and I get my lattes. It's coming to roost. And it's coming home, and it's going to be in your face. The days of us turning our backs and it's somebody else's problems are over. Those are our friends and families out there getting gassed. My daughter in Austin, Texas, who has never wanted to touch anything political, ever, is now working one of those first aid stands in the protest because she can no longer stand by and watch what happens happening. My kids are on that front line. This isn't a white problem. This isn't a black problem. This is an us problem. They are American citizens. They are our friends. They are our neighbors. And they've been screaming for help for decades. And we have ignored them because it doesn't affect us. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It affects us. You want to unfriend me? Do it. You saved me the time of having to do it. I have stayed quiet way too long. Watch the video of George Floyd sitting on that concrete with that knee in his throat saying, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe." That wasn't just his voice. That was the voice of thousands upon thousands of African Americans in this country calling to us. I can't breathe. Help. It's time to help. It's time to stand up. It's time to take our country back and make this country what it's supposed to be. Freedom for all. All. And I don't care if you want to pop off and say the founding fathers, when they wrote the Constitution and all that, they didn't have blacks in mind. It's too bad. The way they wrote it, all men are created equal. All are created equal. It's time to stand up. It's time to fight. Does that mean burning of businesses and tearing down the infrastructure in people's homes and businesses? What else do you expect them to do at this point? You're not listening. The system is not listening. The system is rigged against everybody, but most of all, them. What do you expect them to do? What would you do if that was your family member sitting on the concrete out there with a knee in their neck and there's nothing you can do about it? What do you expect them to do? We were driving through Dallas at one point with ASI. And on the side of police cruisers across this country, it says to serve and protect. Pulled up next to a Fort Worth cruiser in Fort Worth. And on the side of it, it said zero tolerance. And I had to pull my car over because I could not believe what I just saw on the side of that cruiser. Zero tolerance? That real good friend police officer of mine that I talked about here, I'm not going to say his name. He knows who he is, and I'm sure he's listening. Sent me the oath that police officers take when they graduate the police academy. And I read through that entire oath twice. To every police officer out there who stands behind that badge, I want you to pull that oath down and I want you to read it again. Read it and understand it. It should be tattooed on your soul. Because if you can't follow that oath, if you can't swear to serve and protect the citizens of the community that you serve, take that badge off and walk away. That badge is supposed to mean something. That badge does mean something. And that badge has power. And being brown-shirted, jack-booted thugs is not it. The other reason I'm so angry is many years ago, I raised my right hand going into the United States Army to protect the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And the oath goes on. But I took that oath to heart. And even though I left the military, to me, that oath is tattooed on my soul. The officers out there, it should be tattooed on yours as well. You have a responsibility. You put that badge on your chest, there's a lot of weight that goes with it. And if you can't carry that weight, walk away. If I have my way, I'll be standing on that freeway tonight with those protesters. And if that means I have to put my white butt on the front line because they won't attack the whites as fast as they will the blacks, then that's where I need to be. Ladies and gentlemen, we're at a tipping point in this country. Now is the time for each and every one of you out there hearing my voice to take a couple of minutes and honestly ask yourself, what country do you want to live in? What country do you want to call America? Because that's where we are. This is the tipping point. Who do we want to be? Who do we want to be as citizens? And who do we want to be for the rest of the world to see? Because trust me, they are watching. Their reporters from all over the world are being hit with batons, pepper spray, rubber bullets. The whole world's watching it. We look real good right now. We're supposed to be the shining jewel up on the hill for everybody to see. The United States of America, the bastion of freedom. And in order for that to happen, it takes her people. Lady Liberty right now is on her knees and she is crying. And we need to stand up. And we need to be shoulder to shoulder with her and take our country back. This also means you need to get your butt off the couch and you need to vote. You have the most powerful weapon on the face of the planet. And you don't even realize it. You have the vote. Your voice. Use it. Guys, I'm sorry. I don't mean to stand up here and preach, but I can't just bury my head in ghost hunting and all of that and pretend that the world doesn't exist. Not anymore. And it's my fault too. They've been screaming for help. Screaming for somebody to listen. For us to listen. And it didn't affect us. It was them, not us. I'm nowhere near as good as Evie is on quotes. So don't crucify me for butchering some of them, but all it takes for evil to flourish is for one good man to do nothing. And that's been happening over and over and over again, and evil is flourishing. And when it comes to this individual in our White House, and I'm not going to say the whole quote because I don't want to butcher it, but the gist of it is first they came for my neighbor, and when he yelled for help, I did nothing. And then they came for my neighbor on the other side, and they screamed for help, and I did nothing. And when they came for me, I turned around to scream for help, and there was nobody left. That's what is happening, ladies and gentlemen. Those are our people out there dying. Those are our friends and family. It's time to do something about it. It's time to fight. The days of being quiet and sitting on your couch are over. And yes, it's scary. It's fracking terrifying. But the only way to get through the fear is to keep moving forward. We've spent way too long putting them out in the cold and ignoring their pleas for help. It's time to stand up. It's time to put ourselves between them and that magical blue line that wants to put their knees on their throats. And it's time to say, they're us. You want to do that to them? You're going to do it to us because we are one. Like I said, you want to unfriend me because of my beliefs and my views? You know where the button's at. In the words of Wild Bill Brosi, bye. So guys, I'm going to end it there before I get too much more on my soapbox, because anybody who knows me knows I can go and start ranting. Once you get me going, it's hard to shut me up. Just want you to understand where I stand. If you're on my Facebook page and you tout that orange Cheeto, I will block you. It is my page. It's my turf. It's my right. It's my voice. And I choose to use it. It hurts. I unfriended a man yesterday that I have known for over a decade, since we started ASI. And it was very peaceable. He said, I'm a Trump supporter. If you want to unfriend me, so be it. And I unfriended him. And it hurt. But until we can get through the other side of this, until we can figure out how to open up lines of communication, and in saying that, lines of communication are not one way. It's not just this. It's this. And actually, this is more important than this. Until we as a people learn how to communicate and truly listen, this hell's not going to end. Learn to listen to what people are actually saying. Listen to their message and do your best to try and understand that message. Do your best to try and put yourself in their point of view, in their place. Keeping your convictions, but listening. That is the only way we are going to get to the other side of this and not rip this country apart. Because a house divided cannot stand. And the only way we are going to reunify this country and solidify our foundation as a country is communication, and with all of her citizens. All of them. White, black, Hispanic, Asian, rich, poor, all. All of her citizens. So think on that. And like I said, I want each and every one of you out there to take a couple of minutes and truly, truly ask yourself, what type of country do we want to live in? Do we want to give to our kids and our grandkids? Because that's where we're at right now. Or if there is even going to be a United States of America. So guys, be safe out there. Stay healthy, because let's not forget, in all of this shit show, COVID-19 is still bitch slapping the country. That hasn't gone anywhere. We're still in a pandemic. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Look out for your neighbors. Till it's time to go back to doing paranormal stuff and talking about ghosts, which will be very soon. I want each of you out there to know that you're in here. Mad love, respect, and with honor. This is Cedric signing off. Peace out.